YouTube? Auburn Tigers. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment after the video is over or during if you hear something intriguing. Subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn if you're not already a subscriber. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. All right, so when we look at the 2021 recruiting class, we got to look at a lot of elements. One, Auburn did not have Big Cat Weekend because of the situation in the world right now. And also just haven't been able to be on the recruiting trail as far as bringing guys in, being able to visit, having to do Zoom visits, things of that nature has played a huge role in how Auburn rolls from a recruiting standpoint, which has greatly slowed down the momentum of the Tigers. Because we have to face it, Auburn doesn't have the same perception in college football as, say, your Alabamas, Georgias, Floridas, LSUs, Oregons, teams like that really don't, their brand is already out there on a high level. I mean, Oregon hasn't really done much since 2014, but Oregon has a brand. They have the Nike, they have great facilities and things like that to where they don't really have to sell their brand as hard as, say, an Auburn Tigers have to. Because number one, Auburn shares the same state with Alabama. That really wasn't a problem until Nick Saban came on the scene back in 2007. But even still, Auburn has been relatively successful compared to other institutions against Alabama, but Alabama has just whooped Auburn all across the stage, all across the board in recruiting. So here's the situation for the Tigers. Auburn has obviously gotten off to a slow start in 2021. Right now, have not signed an elite wide receiver or any receiver at all. Now, at this point in the recruiting game, considering all that's going on, that wouldn't necessarily be a big problem. But when you look at the totality of the circumstance, you look at the elite receivers that are out there still left available, all those guys have been taken up. So if Auburn is going to sign receivers here in this particular recruiting class, it's going to be a middle tier. I'm talking about a 90% recruit or below. And that's a huge problem because you look at Auburn has Seth Williams, Kobe Hudson, Xavion Capers, those guys, those are three guys. And you think, and Anthony Schwartz. And you think about the fact that Seth Williams could be in a situation where he actually is drafted this year. He could go early. If he has a pretty good season, a breakout season, he's a junior, he could actually go declare early for the draft. So if Auburn doesn't recruit an elite receiver, or at least a somewhat elite receiver, then they're back to the drawing board as to what they had back in 2019, last year, where you have a good enough team to maybe push the envelope for a college football playoff, but you just don't have those breakout players. And that's been the problem. You're not going to the playoffs with, without somewhat of a degree of luck with, Will Hastings and guys like those. You're just not going to do it. So Auburn definitely needs to find a way, and that's where the hope that high school football will come into play, and maybe the emergence of a good receiver, kind of like how Auburn snagged DJ Williams, a diamond in the rough, a guy that nobody really knew about, will come to play. Because otherwise, there's no one in the forefront, on the list, on the dockets of any 24/7, any rivals, wide receivers that are elite in regards to availability and wanting to come to Auburn. I want to know you guys' take on this, because this is one of the reasons why I started this channel, for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes, and just so the Auburn fan base can be in the know. I understand being a fanatic, but when you talk about expectations, these are some of the things you want to look at. You want to look at why your team is where they are. You don't wait till the mid-season and then, all of a sudden a certain ray of success leads you to believe something about a team that's not necessarily true. All right, guys, that's my time here for now. My name is Kennard Vernon Stewart, the host of Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn Football Sports Talk, and mini-series as it relates to the Auburn Tigers. Like the video, please leave a comment, because YouTube has this little algorithmic thing going on to where when they see comments, they see likes. Hey, it might shoot visibility to this particular video. So let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up pretty high. Let's get the comments pretty high. We're talking about Auburn football. This is your team. This is my team. I am your Auburn enthusiast, analyst, and alumnus. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.